Imagine waking up to find that a single page on your website has experienced this massive, like a 1,900% jump in citations from ChatGPT.
I mean, most people analyzing that metric would just assume they had won the digital lottery.
Right. You'd completely think it was time to pop the champagne. But here is the catch. That massive spike generated absolutely zero business impact.
Not at all.
Literally nothing. No new leads, no spike in revenue, just nothing. Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you are someone who relies on being found online, the rules haven't just changed. The entire game board has essentially been flipped upside down.
Yeah, that 1,900% metric is just a perfect illustration of the chaos right now.
Yeah.
We are operating in an environment where, visibility simply no longer guarantees viability.
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We are decoding how to survive and actually thrive in an era where AI doesn't just help you search, it literally does the searching and the reading for you.
It's a whole new world.
It really is. And we are anchoring this deep dive exactly on the date, July 28, 2026. So 2026-07-28. Our sources are completely fresh off the press from a Keyhawk, ASR bot, Fleet SEO daily technology report that was compiled on this exact date.
Which is a fantastic resource, by the way.
Oh, it's incredible. It aggregates massive data from TechCrunch, the New York Times, our refs, and SEO.com, all specifically tied to 2026-07-28.
It is a totally vital data set because the underlying architecture of information retrieval has transformed so much. I mean, if we look at the data from July 28, 2026, doing traditional SEO right now feels like optimizing for a phone book when everyone else has already moved to smartphones.
That is a great way to put it. So let's get right into the mechanics of that shift, starting with the death of the blue link. Google AI mode, which is powered by the Gemini 3.5 Flash model, became the default search experience worldwide back on May 19, 2026.
Right, the big Google I/O announcement.
Exactly. And according to new TechCrunch data published just yesterday on July 27, 2026, AI overviews now appear in 43% of all searches.
Which is huge.
It is. But the really staggering number is the 93% zero-click rate on those AI mode queries.
Yeah, that 93% metric requires some serious structural analysis because it means that nearly every time a human asks a question, a generative model synthesizes the answer directly on the page, and then the human just leaves.
It's like window shopping, but the store brings the product outside to you on the sidewalk, so you never actually walk through the door.
That's exactly what's happening.
But I have to push back here. If the zero-click rate is 93%, why should you, the listener, even care about your website's visibility at this point?
That's a fair question.
Right. I mean, if users aren't walking through the digital front door of my site, aren't our website's just free training data now? It feels like we're just feeding the machine and getting absolutely nothing in return.
I see why you draw that conclusion for sure, but it assumes the goal is still to funnel human traffic to a specific domain. What's fascinating here is that the definition of a transaction has moved.
Oh, so?
Well, you are no longer optimizing for a human click, right? You are optimizing to be the foundational premise that Gemini actually relies on. If you aren't cited in that AI overview, your brand just ceases to exist in the user's reality.
Okay, wow. So the AI reads the open web, synthesizes it, and cites the sources it trusts. And the transaction happens on the search engine's interface, not on my website.
Exactly, though I would probably frame it even more aggressively than that. With Google totally rebuilding the search box to accept images, files, videos, and even open Chrome tabs.
Which is wild to see in action.
It is. The search interface is basically a personal research assistant now. A New York Times report from July 20, 2026 actually claimed this is imperiling the open web. But from a purely business perspective, if that research assistant doesn't trust your data, you just don't get the recommendation.
Which brings us right back to Will Reynolds and that 1,900% jump in citations that resulted in literally $0.
Yeah, the classic vanity metric.
Right. So if earning a citation is the new currency, how do we track it? And more importantly, what is it actually worth? Here's where it gets really interesting, because Ahrefs data from 2026-07-28 shows that searches for AI search tracking are up 184% year over year.
Everyone is just desperate for metrics right now.
Absolutely
The
desperate.
desperation is totally understandable, but that 1,900% anomaly really highlights the danger of generative engine optimization, or GEO, without context.
Right. Explain that context part.
Well, a citation is just a vanity metric if the AI prompt lacked transactional intent. I mean, if users were asking ChatGPT for, say, a historical definition and Will's page was cited 1,000 times, that doesn't trigger a purchase. We have to move from just counting mentions to interrogating their context.
And the platforms themselves are practically at war over how to report this context. Let's look at Google Search Console.
Oh boy.
Yeah. In July 2026, they finally rolled out the AI Performance Report, and Brody Clark noted it was their most requested feature ever.
People had been begging for it.
Begging. But looking at the actual mechanics of it, it is just deeply flawed. It only shows impression data.
Right.
No clicks, no specific query data at all. It just clumps everything together. I look at it like getting a receipt from a massive department store that shows you spent $500, but it completely redacts the items you bought. How are you supposed to optimize your budget based on that?
I'd actually argue it's worse than your receipt analogy.
Really?
Worse.
Yeah, it is like the store telling you a transaction happened somewhere in the building, but refusing to tell you which aisle the customer was standing in. Google is intentionally obfuscating the user intent to protect its own generative ecosystem.
Wow.
But contrast that approach with Bing Webmaster Tools.
Right. Bing launched their AI visibility insights back in June 2026.
Yes, and it is honestly a masterclass in transparency. Bing actually shows you the RAG queries. And for context, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation.
Wait, let's break that down for the listener really quick. What does a RAG query actually look like in the backend data? Sure. So in traditional search, a user types something simple like best running shoes. But in a RAG environment, the AI might receive a prompt like, based on the user's uploaded photo of their worn-out tread, retrieve durability data for trail running shoes.
That is so specific.
It's highly specific, and Bing's dashboard actually shows you those topical clusters, the specific intents, and your exact citation share against your competitors. It gives you the mechanical blueprint of why the AI chose your data over someone else's.
That makes Google's data blackout even more glaring, honestly. And because Google isn't providing the granular data we need, third-party platforms are just rushing in with aggressive new features to fill the void. The tech stack landscape as of July 28, 2026 is just wild.
We are seeing a complete replatforming of the entire industry.
Totally. Let's talk about how these tools actually function. So SEMrush evolved into SEMrush 1 for $199 a month. They are offering 50 prompt tracking slots across ChatGPT, Gemini, and AI mode. But how does that even work technically? Are they just sitting there automatically typing prompts into ChatGPT all day long to see if my name pops up?
Essentially, yes, but at a massive distributed scale.
Okay.
They're running headless browser sessions, injecting highly specific prompts mapped to your business entities, and then parsing the AI's generated output to see if your brand is cited as the source.
That's crazy. And then you have RFs fighting back with Brand Radar on their $99 a month light plan. Their documentation says they trace real events and conversions back to AI sources.
Which is very impressive.
It sounds like magic to me. I mean, if an AI overview is zero-click, how on earth does RS know a conversion came from an AI recommendation?
It is not magic, I promise. It is sophisticated correlation engineering. They are no longer relying on traditional HTTP referral headers because, like you noted earlier, those are just gone. Right? Instead, they are analyzing prompt footprint data against real-time brand search velocity. So if ChatGPT cites your software to 10,000 users at 9:00 a.m. and Eris detects an anomalous spike in direct brand navigation at exactly 9:05 a.m., they mathematically link those two events.
Wow. Okay.
Furthermore, they're updating their link index every 15 to 30 minutes with automated anomaly detection.
That is incredibly fast. And it isn't just the big enterprise suites doing this either. A July 2026 Behind Rankings review looked at dedicated AI SEO automation platforms. You have SE Ranking running thousands of keywords and daily prompts. Ubersuggest has pivoted completely. You have platforms like AirOps doing these multi-model workflows.
Those multi-model workflows are a fascinating development.
Right. I was looking at AirOps, and instead of just generating a blog post in one go, it queries GPT for the outline structure, then it passes that to Claude for the nuanced writing, and then it verifies all the facts against Gemini's live index, all completely automatically.
It's a highly complex pipeline.
It is. But honestly, if I am a listener staring at this explosion of tools on 2026-07-28, it feels completely paralyzing. Like, do you need a PhD in software architecture just to publish a blog post now?
I completely understand the overwhelm, but we really need to step back and look at the functional shift here. SEO has permanently transitioned from an artisanal, manual craft into a semi-automated production pipeline.
Okay, a production pipeline.
Yes, you don't need a PhD in the software. You just need a clear division of labor. Humans must handle the high-level strategy, the brand voice, and, the creative friction. The AI platforms handle the massive scale of research, the prompt tracking, and the drafting.
So we use the tools to manage the scale, but we definitely don't outsource the soul of the business.
Precisely. If you let the AI define your core strategy, you will just produce average content at light speed, which the search engines will immediately ignore.
That perfectly sets up our next major question. The tools can track the citations, and they can automate the workflow. But how do we actually earn those citations in the first place? What is a generative engine actually looking for when it crawls the web on 2026-07-28?
It is looking for structured, unambiguous database clarity. Which brings us to the new technical standard, the llms.txt file.
Ah, yes, I saw this in the Keyhawk report. It mentions the llms.txt standard has reached about 5 to 15% adoption. Now, I understand it's meant to guide AI crawlers, but what actually goes inside it? Am I just writing a giant paragraph summarizing my company?
Not at all. Think of how a robots.txt file gives directives on what a traditional crawler is allowed to see.
Right, basic SEO stuff.
Exactly. Well, the llms.txt file is a markdown formatted blueprint of your site's pure informational logic. When an AI crawler hits a standard web page, it has to strip away all the CSS, the JavaScript, the navigation menus, the annoying pop-ups, just to find the core text.
Which takes processing power.
Lots of it. An llms.txt file bypasses all that visual noise. It provides the AI with a clean, highly structured repository of your entities, your products, and your verifiable facts served instantly.
So what does this all mean for how we actually write content? Because SEO.com's 2026 trend report states that topic targeting has officially overtaken keyword targeting.
Yeah, it basically means the era of keyword density is mathematically dead. The AI engine does not care if you use the exact phrase best enterprise firewall 14 times on a landing page.
Goodbye to keyword stuffing.
Exactly. What it cares about is if your content succinctly and structurally answers every logical node surrounding the concept of network security.
That makes total sense, especially when you look at Google retiring FAQ-rich results back in May 2026, because for years we all just slapped JSON-LD FAQ schema on our pages to get those massive screen-hogging snippets in the search results.
We all did it.
Yeah. But the Keyhawk report notes that JSON-LD schema remains incredibly critical for entity clarity, and that's according to blog.mean.eo's July 2026 analysis. So if the FAQ visual snippet is physically gone from the search page, how is the AI actually using that JSON ID data?
Well, the visual snippet was just a UI element for humans. The underlying JSON-LD data maps the relationships between entities for the machine. It tells the AI, for example, this specific author, who works for this specific organization, wrote this specific technical claim.
Okay, I see.
AI systems infer meaning from those verified entity relationships, not from loose text strings.
I always try to simplify entity SEO by comparing it to networking at a massive industry conference.
Okay, let's hear it.
So traditional keyword SEO was kind of like walking into the conference hall and just shouting your name and your job title over and over again, hoping someone remembers it.
Which is incredibly annoying, yeah.
Super annoying. But entity SEO is about who actually knows who you are, what your specific expertise is, and how you connect to the keynote speakers in the room. It's about context.
I really like the networking analogy, but I would probably push it even further based on the data we are seeing on 2026-07-28.
Oh, push away.
It is not just about who knows you at the conference anymore. It is about whether the conference organizers rigorously verified your ID and credentials at the door before letting you in.
Because the AI engines have to verify you aren't just another AI bot hallucinating information.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the internet right now is drowning in infinite programmatic AI-generated content. In that noisy environment, the only anchor of truth an engine like Gemini 3.5 Flash can rely on is verifiable real-world human experience.
Which brings us to EET.
Yes, this is why EEAT experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness transitioned into hard-ranking factors after the May 2026 core update.
Especially for YMYL topics, right? Your money or your life, like health and finance sites.
It absolutely started in YMYL, but it completely bled into every vertical now.
Yeah.
The engine needs a human signal.
The FAN Institute's 2026 playbook makes this brutally clear. They state that SEO and PR are now inseparable.
Completely intertwined.
You cannot just tweak title tags in a vacuum anymore. You need press mentions, industry citations, and a real-world footprint. Your brand signals literally equal your resilience against these wild algorithm updates.
Because think about it. If a generative engine is going to stick its neck out and cite your business as a fact to a user, it needs proof that your business actually exists in physical reality. Without PR and brand authority, you are basically just a text file.
Okay, my brain is already pretty full, but we absolutely have to tackle Section 5 of the Keyhawk Report, agentic SEO.
This is the big one.
It feels like genuine science fiction, but it is happening right now on 2026-07-28. Everything we've discussed so far assumes a human is reading the AI overview. But what happens when humans stop browsing entirely and send an AI agent to navigate the web for them?
This is hands down the most profound architectural shift we have seen in decades. At Google I/O, the Chrome team announced an experimental agentic browsing category inside Lighthouse and Page Speed Insights.
Wait, so the exact same developer tool we use to see if our page loads fast for a human is now issuing dual scores?
Yes, you literally receive one score for human user experience and a completely separate score for agent readiness.
Why do they need a separate score, though? Like, what is an AI agent actually doing on a website that's different from a human?
They're executing complex, multi-step tasks on behalf of a user. An AI agent is booking travel itineraries across multiple airlines. It is comparing complex enterprise software pricing models. It is filling out highly tedious lead generation and checkout forms.
We are literally building websites for robots to browse so humans don't have to.
It's wild.
But from a technical standpoint, how do you optimize for a robot?
I feel like I need an analogy here. It sounds a bit like sending a personal assistant to the grocery store with a highly specific shopping list.
And that is a highly functional analogy. Keep going with it. Okay, so, if I send my assistant to get milk, and the store has logically organized the aisles, the assistant grabs the milk and leaves quickly. But if the store hides the milk behind some weird puzzle or a locked door that takes 10 seconds to open, the assistant doesn't have time for that. They just leave and go to a different store.
This raises an important question about the fundamental foundation of the web, which is client-side JavaScript.
Okay.
Your locked door in that grocery store analogy is a JavaScript loading spinner. For years, developers have built beautiful, visually heavy JavaScript sites that load dynamic content as the human user scrolls down the page.
Right, because it looks cool.
Exactly. But an autonomous AI agent does not have a visual rendering engine, nor does it have the patience to simulate a human scroll just to trigger a script.
So if my pricing table or my crucial checkout form is buried in JavaScript, the AI agent literally cannot see it.
It is entirely invisible to the agent, which is why server-side rendered HTML is now mandatory for agentic SEO. The AI agent wants the raw, structured HTML data instantly upon server request.
That makes technical SEO tools like WP Rocket for server performance and Screaming Frog for deep crawl diagnostics absolutely vital again.
They're completely non-negotiable now. You have to run a crawl on your site and ask, can a script instantly parse my product data and submit a form payload? Or will it just get stuck trying to execute a client-side script?
And Ahrefs actually noted in their July 2026 blog that new tools like AirTop are emerging specifically to provide real-time agentic SEO signals.
Yes, AirTop is fascinating.
They test exactly how these autonomous scripts interact with your DOM elements. It is a completely new frontier of technical optimization. Agent readiness is going to draw a hard dividing line between businesses that capture automated agent-driven sales and those that just vanish from the transactional web.
It really will be a brutal filter for businesses that refuse to adapt their infrastructure.
Wow. Let's try to bring all of this together for the listener. Looking at the landscape strictly through the lens of 2026-07-28, the ground has completely shifted beneath our feet.
Without a doubt.
We have Gemini 3.5 Flash driving a 93% zero-click reality. We have to pivot away from chasing arbitrary blue links and focus on generative engine optimization, fighting for those high-context AI citations.
Exactly.
We have to merge our SEO operations with our PR departments to build undeniable EEAT brand signals. And on the technical side, we have to completely overhaul our sites with server-side rendering and llms.txt files to prepare for this massive incoming wave of agentic SEO.
I know it sounds like a staggering amount of technical evolution to absorb. But I really want to emphasize to you, the listener, that while the mechanisms we discussed, like ARG queries, JSON-LD, agentic readiness scores, while those are deeply complex, the underlying philosophy is actually remarkably simple.
Simple, how so?
It basically boils down to trust and clarity.
Trust and clarity.
Yes. Can an AI logically trust who you are in the real world? And can its parsers clearly understand the structural data of what you do? Those are fundamental communication skills you can actively cultivate in your content strategy, regardless of exactly how the specific algorithms mutate in the future.
I love that. It brings a very human foundational element back to an incredibly robotic process.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you digest all this data from July 28, 2026. If AI agents are increasingly going to do all the reading, all the form filling, and all the actual purchasing for us, will human-facing website design eventually become completely obsolete?
That is a very profound structural question. I mean, if the agent does the buying, why pay for the graphic design?
Exactly. Are we quietly witnessing the final days of the visual internet? Something to think about the next time you find yourself obsessing over the exact hex code of a checkout button. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.